Democrats and the media want to equate Israel with terrorists and a bunch of other lies. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell Monday delivered a fiery condemnation of Senate Democrats who in recent days have justified the Hamas rockets fired against Israel. McConnell, the Kentucky Republican Senate Minority Leader, accused Democrats in a floor speech of, quote, pushing the false narrative that this conflict is a tragic dispute between two legitimate combatants where both sides share blame, but is roughly equal, unquote. McConnell went on to call such a view, quote, nonsense, unquote, and, quote, an obscene moral equivalence, unquote. Top Republicans in recent days have vocally backed Israel's right to defend itself against a barrage of Hamas rocket attacks that began last week. A group of Democrats has called for a ceasefire, but Republicans like Senator Tom Cotton advocate that Israel should have the time and space to completely destroy Hamas's ability to kill innocent civilians. And you know what? Senator Cotton is absolutely right. Israel was attacked by an illegitimate terrorist group that uses war crime tactics like placing combat forces in civilian neighborhoods, renting building space for its intelligence headquarters to non-combatant entities like the Associated Press, and killing civilians with its own rockets. And Israel has a right to respond appropriately to destroy Hamas's capabilities. Of course, the media outlets like the Associated Press, the AP, have tried to make Israel look like it intentionally attacked civilians like it did its offices co-located with the Hamas intel headquarters, and the anti-Semitic press in the United States and around the world runs with the lies. This despicable press also tries to say Israel intentionally kills children by showing and reporting on numbers of kids killed in their response. But they never report that most of these deaths are caused by Hamas's own rockets raining down on Gaza neighborhoods. Former Israeli ambassador to the United States, Ron Dermer, called out the global media, including the United States, for continuing to claim there is any similarity between the actions taken by both Israel and Hamas, the fundamentalist group in control of the Palestinians. On Like Liberty and Levin, the host, Mark Levin, called the coverage of the missile attacks against Israel and the response from Jerusalem as, quote, par for the course, unquote, in today's media. Quote, they treat Hamas and Islamic Jihad, these terrorist groups, on an equivalency with Israel. Israel's trying to hit military targets in very dense areas, and the terrorists are obviously aiming heavily at Israeli population centers, he said, asking Dermer for his thoughts. Dermer called the coverage shameful, adding that it actually endangers Palestinian civilians, which is true, because by failing to properly analyze what is going on in the Middle East, the Hamas terrorists are embedding their arsenals of rockets and missiles and weapons and bombs and drones in civilian areas, unquote. He went on, quote, there is no moral equivalence between a terrorist organization and the democratic state of Israel, unquote. Dermer said in the case of the U.S. media, their coverage of Palestinian attacks on Israel would be like foreign media covering an al-Qaeda attack on the United States homeland and deeming both the terrorists and Americans to be on the same moral level. I'd ask the American people, how would they like it if foreign governments or the international media drew a moral equivalency between the United States of America and al-Qaeda or the United States of America and ISIS, unquote, added the U.S.-born Dermer. He also said, I think people in Israel are disgusted by it because there is no moral equivalence between a terrorist organization and the democratic state of Israel. Mr. Dermer's remarks came after two Democratic lawmakers, Representatives Andre Carson of Indiana and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, protested in front of the U.S. State Department in Washington to demand the Biden administration seek justice for the Palestinians. It's time for the media to start telling the truth and stop the endless false representation of what Israel is doing. The anti-Semitic uproar in the media and Hamas and Iran sympathizers indicates the right targets are being destroyed, and that's a good thing.